I did it! I finally finished my adventure bingo challenge, and I only cheated slightly along the way. It was originally meant to be a local challenge where I'm exploring my local area, but I decided to include our shenanigans up north in Utah because it just felt right. But if you haven't been here before, I am Jennifer from Watkins Through Life, and this year I am going on an adventure challenge where every book and exciting thing in my life this year is an adventure. The first one I did was go to a concert. We went to go see Brigadoon at our local theater, and it was so good. As for going on a neighborhood walk, that was super easy as my dog constantly begs to go on walks. That was closely followed by going to the Renaissance Festival. I love going to this every year, and with COVID and restrictions the last couple years, we haven't been able to go. So it was incredibly fun to go back and see the acts that we know and love. Planning a social gathering was not high on my list of ones I wanted to do, but I did want to bake a whole bunch of lemon bars and deliver them to people, so I did have a friend over and we baked together. It ended up being this whole fiasco where half the lemon bars didn't even set, but it was still fun. Hop, skip, and jump about a month down the road, and we went to a new wood-fired pizza restaurant, and it was so good. It was extraordinarily busy, even midway through the week, so it was quite the wait for the pizza, but it ended up being worth it, I think. For the community event, we went to the Easter pageant in downtown Mesa. It's this huge production put on by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it goes through Christ's life from birth to death and resurrection, and it's incredibly well put together. There's thousands and thousands of people that show up every night that it's put on. That night I also crossed off talking to a stranger safely. The people who were sitting next to us on the grass were very nice, and we chatted every so often and just made a couple jokes here and there. So that was good to be able to cross that off because I was scared about that one. Beaches! For going on a picnic, I guess technically it wasn't really a picnic, but in the Phoenix metropolitan area, there is a farm called Schnepp Farms, and they have like a whole amusement park area and garden center, pick your own stuff. And so every May, they do pick your own peaches with their peach orchards. We went, and it was lovely and fantastic. It's one of my favorite traditions that we do, and we just stock up on all of the peaches, store them, freeze them forever and ever. For a new park, it isn't really new because I went there like 3 or 4 years ago, but I didn't go all the way around the park. I just stayed by the water. This time I went to visit Veterans Oasis Park with my sister and her son, and we really went on all of the back trails. It's a very well put together park. It has the memorial, it has the police station, it has water features, it has a community garden where they teach you how to garden, and it's really just very well done conservator-wise. Now, going to a local coffee shop, this one's a little bit of a stretch. Our local ice rink also has a coffee shop little restaurant-y thing in it, and while we didn't technically go to the coffee shop, I did walk into it and see it, but we went ice skating, and that's what I'm most excited about. And hey, going ice skating is an adventure for me, so it counts, dang it. The bookstore was next. My brother-in-law was having his birthday, so we went to a local gaming store that has a whole bunch of comic books and D&D books, everything like that. And we got him a gift card for that since he loves trading Pokemon cards and whatnot. Visiting a local library. I'm a little bit embarrassed that it took me 4 or 5 months to check off this box, but as soon as school was out, I was going to the library basically every day or at least every other day. There's this beautiful window of walls that just has tables and chairs all along it, looks out on this riparian preserve. I love sitting there looking out on the water and the birds and the wildlife as I work. When I was visiting the library, I did notice that the Friends of the Library bookstore was in need of volunteers, which is another box on my bingo. So I filled out an application, and the next Monday I was able to start volunteering at this local bookstore. And I've been going every Monday to volunteer for a few hours. Duolingo also took me a little longer than I wanted, but about midway through June I was able to cross that off. And it was about this time that I started looking at my bingo chart and realizing, how the heck do I not have a bingo yet? Like, I should have strategically planned this to get at least one sooner or later. But I do know that a couple of the squares that I just needed for a bingo, I already had scheduled. Like, I knew they were going to happen, but I couldn't make them happen any sooner. Like a sporting event. We went to go see a Diamondbacks game with my sister's family, and this brought me oh so close to a bingo. Before we went and watched Footloose, we tried a new lunch restaurant downtown, which was also delicious and also brought me tantalizingly close to a bingo. And then for Meet My Neighbors, I mean, I already know them, but my backdoor neighbors, we had her daughter over for a little play date. It was so fun because I had just finished painting this custom train and car table, so we were able to play with that, which was fun. And then the next thing that I knew was going to put me over the edge with a lot of these bingos was our road trip to Utah. Adventure life, Zion Park style. The first stop was at Zion's National Park, where we went on the Emerald Pools Trail hike. We did the intermediate on the way up and then the lower trail on the way back, and it was just stunning. I brought my travel watercolor set so that I could do a little bit of watercoloring up there, which was magical and just like everything I've always wanted to do. And we were also able to cross off the public transit while we were there because you park at the main visitor center and then take the shuttle up and down the park. So there's the public transit. And there it is! I finally got to cross off my very first bingo, and I celebrated by going to Ross to get me some new shirts. Very excited about that. After Zion's Park, our next stop was Vernal, Utah to see my husband's grandparents, and we went to a plethora of museums. We went to the local Heritage Museum, where my husband's family has a lot of history in there. Like, his great-grandfather was one of the sheriffs who was tracking down Butch Cassidy, so that was really fun to see. They also have an awesome dinosaur museum. I don't know if you know, but the entire city of Vernal, Utah has like the local mascot of dinosaurs because there's so many dinosaurs that have been discovered there, and they have the dinosaur dig that's just outside of town. Anyway, so their dinosaur museum is very cool. A couple days later, we also went to a fine art museum as well as an exploratory museum, the Leonardo in Salt Lake. So next up in our Utah trip, we were going from Vernal to Salt Lake, and we had gotten the Salt Lake City Pass, which allows you to get into different attractions for a discounted price. And included on that was a ropes course at the Olympic Park in Park City, which I was really excited to see the Olympic Park. And I thought, ropes course, that could be fun, just kind of like a adventure course. That's very adventurous. And then we got there, and we got up onto the ropes, and it was 25 frickin' feet in the air, only held up by like a little carabiner, and we were walking on precarious ledges and with only a wire beneath our feet, and it was absolutely terrifying, and I will 100% never do a ropes course again. But I am so proud of myself for doing it, and it was such a rush once we were done, so worth it, but definitely not a repeat experience for me. Because it was so out of my comfort zone, I am counting it as the Go Camping Square. One of the other things we did on our trip that I was so excited for, both me and my husband were looking forward to this the entire trip, was going to Ashton Gardens at Thanksgiving Point. They have a nursery right by the entrance, and then they also have like upwards of 12 or 13 gardens that you can walk through as you go through the park. Some of our favorites were the Italian Garden, the Secret Garden, the Monet Pond. They had the Rose Garden, which was just absolutely stunning with arches and just roses everywhere, trellising and bushes. And can I just say that I love having a photographer as a husband because I get pictures like this. Now, as I'm getting to the end of this, I realized I never crossed off the breakfast restaurant or the secondhand store, both of which I did. A couple months ago, one of my friends was alpha reading a book that I'm writing, and we met together at a local breakfast restaurant. So we went to the Crowned Egg, and it was just a local, lovely diner with delicious diner food, which is everything that I wanted. As for the secondhand store, I mean, come on, I'm volunteering at the friend's place at the library, which is a secondhand store that 100% counts. And the only spot that I haven't crossed off for my now Adventure Life blackout is walking through every store on a strip. And honestly, I don't think I'm gonna do it. It just sounds like so much work. I've done 24 other spaces on this Adventure Life, and I'm going to keep adventuring and I'm going to keep having fun, but I don't think that one's for me. So that basically closes out the Adventure Bingo Challenge. The other rewards were cashed out by going to some souvenir gift shops along the way on our road trip. I got an amazing paint by step book from a museum gift shop and a couple other souvenirs. So that all worked out really great. Honestly, I don't know if I really went out of my way to accomplish any of these squares, but it was still a nice reminder and encouragement to be social and get out of the house, which is just the reminder I needed after this whole quarantine crapness. So if you completed a bingo or are planning to, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what shenanigans you are getting up to this summer, and happy adventuring!